All right, today we're diving into a scenario that, honestly, it feels like it's ripped straight from a political thriller. But the scary part is how plausible it is. A full-blown war between Iran and Israel just 2 years from now. Let's break down how something of this magnitude could actually ignite. The question is no longer if a regional war will happen, but how far it will spread. Man, that quote just captures the terrifying reality we're unpacking in this 2026 scenario. You see, the biggest fear isn't just the war itself, but its potential to spread like an absolute wildfire.
So what's the flashpoint? Well, for the first time in history, NATO has jumped directly into the fight. They've used their air defenses to shoot down Iranian missiles. This isn't a proxy war anymore, not by a long shot. This is a direct, historic, and incredibly dangerous escalation.
And this war? Oh, it's got a name. Operation Epic Fury. We're talking a massive, joint U.S.-Israeli military campaign. We're dropping into the story on day 7. That's March 9th, 2026. And the spark that lit this whole powder keg? The assassination of Iran's supreme leader just 1 week prior. Make no mistake, this isn't some minor skirmish. This is a full-scale, high-intensity war.
But a war like this doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. No. For years, there's been a shadow war raging just beneath the surface. Proxies, cyber attacks, secret assassinations. Well, now, those shadows are gone. The conflict has exploded out into the open for the entire world to see.
So how in the world did we get here? This timeline really lays it out. For years, it was all that shadow war stuff. But then 2 key things happened that just changed the game. First, Iran's military ties with Moscow got way deeper after the war in Ukraine. And second, the final straw, Iranian-backed strikes on U.S. bases that triggered a direct American military response. Once diplomacy was off the table, all-out war was pretty much inevitable.
Okay, so what does the battlefield actually look like 1 week into this thing? The numbers, well, they paint a really grim picture.
And the first, most sobering number is the human cost. In just 7 days, this conflict has already claimed over 1,300 lives in Iran. That is a devastating toll for a war that's really just getting started.
Now, from a military perspective, here's the headline claim. Israel says it has wiped out 80% of Iran's air defenses. This is absolutely huge. Achieving air superiority basically means you own the sky. Your jets can fly over enemy territory with almost no resistance, hitting targets pretty much whenever they want. In modern warfare, that is a total game changer. And they are not wasting a single second putting that air superiority to use. Today alone, more than 400 targets inside Iran were hit. And the focus is crystal clear. Take out Iran's ability to punch back by destroying its missile launchers and drone facilities. The pace of this assault is just relentless.
A war this big was never going to stay regional for long. The entire globe is watching, and you better believe international battle lines are being drawn as we speak.
And the reactions from world leaders? Wow, they show just how different everyone's priorities are. The U.S. is already talking about the post-war government in Iran. The UN is, desperately calling for a ceasefire. And the UK is sort of caught in the middle, supporting the action but also terrified of it spilling over into Lebanon. It is a diplomatic minefield.
And this slide right here, this lays out the new fault lines perfectly. On one side, you have the Western Alliance, and they're all in. The US is leading the charge, the UK is providing support, NATO is on high alert. On the other side, Russia is backing Tehran, maybe just as a strategic distraction, while China is condemning the whole thing, probably taking a lot of notes on the military tactics being used.
So what are the global consequences here? I mean, how does a war in the Middle East send shockwaves across the entire planet? Is this the beginning of something much, much bigger?
The fallout is absolutely massive, and it's hitting on 3 different fronts. First, the economy. Oil prices are going through the roof as shipping grinds to a halt, and that threatens a wave of inflation for everyone. Second, the military angle. The success of missile defense is a huge deal, but it also pushes the world one step closer to a direct fight between major powers. And finally, the humanitarian cost is already spilling over borders, with tens of thousands fleeing in Lebanon alone, just terrified of a total regional collapse.
So where does this all end? Well, experts see 2 main paths forward. Path number 1 is a full-on regime collapse in Iran. Now that could lead to a new government, or it could spiral into a horrific civil war. Path number 2 is a long, grinding stalemate, a frozen war, where Iran just uses cheap drones to bleed Western forces dry in a costly, drawn-out conflict. Two very different and, frankly, very dangerous futures. And all of this brings us to the final, really chilling question. Now, while this scenario is set in a hypothetical 2026, it is rooted in very real global tensions that exist right now. So we have to ask, is this just another regional conflict, or are we potentially watching the opening shots of the 21st century's first Great War? Thanks for joining us for this explainer.